don't know nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend and now. Pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my soul in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on O.F.I. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens.
Shalom, shalom, family. First and foremost, want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so by Shem Hamashiach Wamalak Yahushai Kwam Yashala. If y'all see this, what I'm rocking tonight, all praise to the Most High for the brother, right? A menorah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candlesticks. Now I titled this Manna Monday, Hanukkah versus Christmas. Listen, family, you got to make a decision. Are you going to serve the Most High God of the Bible by celebrating and keeping the feast days, the biblical feast day Hanukkah, the feast of the dedication, the festival of lights, or are you going to continue to walk in darkness, wickedness, idolatry, sin, all right? Pleasing the ways of the world and keeping Christmas. You probably already kept Thanksgiving. You probably kept 4th of July. You probably kept Labor Day, Memorial Day. You probably kept Easter. You probably already kept in this so-called 2025. What is it called? St. Patrick's Day. You probably already kept New Year's, pagan New Year's. But it's time to make a decision today. Are you going to keep Christmas or are you going to keep Hanukkah? One of them, the Most High God explicitly said, don't keep. The other one, the Most High explicitly said, keep. Which one are you going to keep? Let's get into it. Let's see which one Yahushua kept. The world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. See, the problem with you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of indigenous descent, you Negroes, say that you don't like the other nation. You say, oh, the white man oppress us and so forth and so on. But yet and still, you want to keep all of their customs, their holidays. You want to keep all of their ordinances. You want to be joined unto the heathen, right? No difference than what was going on in the ancient day, all right? No difference than what was going on in the ancient day. So let's see. We're going to go to the book of St. John, chapter 10 and verse 22. And let's see what Yahushua kept, who the world ignorantly calls Christ. Let's see what Yahushua kept. Was Yahushua keeping Christmas? Right? Let me get this real quick. Because remember, he did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 22, and it reads, and I'm going to start up, actually. I'm going to start up, right? It says, verse 21, for even here too were ye called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps. Now, are you following the steps of Hamashiach Wamalak Yahushai? Or Are you following the vain, wicked ways of the world? Shalom, Elder. Are you following the wicked, vain ways of the world? Now look, you got to make a decision. You cannot just straddle the fence your whole damn life. You got to make a decision. Are you going to be Christ-like, or are you going to be anti-Christ? Right? Are you going to be anti-Christ? Because the scriptures tell us, all right, that if you're not moving in the spirit of Yahushua, you are anti-Christ. I'm going to get this in 1 John 4 and 2 through 4. Hereby know ye the spirit of God. Every spirit that confesseth that Hamashiach Yahushua is come in the flesh is of God. And every spirit that confesseth not that Yahushua Hamashiach is come in the flesh is not of God. Now look, you can deny Yahushua by denying to follow his example. I'm going to say that again. You can deny our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Wamalak Yahushua, by denying to follow his example. Doesn't it say in the book of Isaiah, hey, these people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, with their lips, but their heart is far from me? Doesn't it say that? Are you going to be one of those Israelites that does that? And every spirit that confesseth not that Hamashiach Yahushua is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist. If you're not for the Messiah, if you're not about this business, if you're not about this truth, if you're not about standing up for righteousness, making the tough decisions, not being polluted with the ways of the world. Didn't Micah tell us to come up out from among them, be ye separate? Right? This is not our rest. In the book of Revelations, didn't it tell us don't be polluted? Right? Let me get this real quick. Right? That she will destroy you. Destroy you. Let's get to Micah 2 and 10. The book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. See, Christmas is not your rest, because that's not your heritage. Right? Keeping the pagan festivals of Saturnalia is not your customs. A lot of us don't know these things. A lot of us don't know the wicked history, all right? The pagan feast of fornication. Men popping, men doing that, like it says in the book of Romans, what is unseemingly. When you celebrating Christmas and you're going into all of these things, you are moving in the spirit of Antichrist. You are against Christ. Anti being against Yahushua. Whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. See, this is a spirit, an ancient wicked spirit on the left-hand side that's been in the world. You got to think when the apostles, right, was out teaching 1st century AD, after the death, burial, and resurrection of Hamashiach Yahushua, this spirit of Antichrist was already in the world. A lot of you brothers and sisters is really Roman Catholic. Straight up and down. You in the pagan orgy worship on the left-hand side, and you've been tricked and beguiled in your mind to think that what you're doing is okay. Are you going to choose to serve the Most High God, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, right? Walking in and following in the footsteps of Christ, who did no sin, neither was guile in his mouth. He didn't sin, y'all. He kept all of the feast days. And a lot of you jakes is off as hell. I'm going to tell you that. First of all, you OT only, y'all better repent or your ass is finished. So like it for the language. You repent or you finish. Thus saith the Lord. Because you cannot get the kingdom without going through Hamashiach, woman like Yahushua. Right? Hey, you didn't choose him. Right? You didn't choose him. He chose you out of the world. You gotta remember that. You did not choose him. All right? He chose you out of the world. So y'all gotta get it straight, man. And we're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna dive into it. Are you gonna keep pagan, popping Christmas? Or are you gonna get with the righteous program, serve Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, following the mighty footsteps of our Lord and Savior Christ, and keep the biblical feast day like he did in this season, in the winter? Let me show y'all this real quick. Let's get Saturnalia. A lot of y'all don't know this, right? Hellenism, Hellenistic festivals. Before I get this, I want to show y'all this. Hellenistic. And I want to grab this book, right? Let me, bear with me. I should have had it. I think it's on my bookshelf. Yep, it is. So this is a book, one of the books that brothers and sisters should definitely grab. This book right here. Now I haven't read the whole book, right? I'm still getting into it. But this book right here, the Hellenistic, I'm gonna put it closer. Hellenistic civilization and the Jews. Now, what you got to realize and understand that you had Greek culture. And you know, hey, brothers and sisters are still in Greek culture today. You got Eve, damn, wanting to be an Alpha Chi, Papa Kappa Alpha. You got Jake wanting to be a damn Alpha Phi Psi, all of this stuff. That's going into Greek culture. That's going into idolatry. Y'all niggas want to pledge Kappa and Gamma and Beta and Q, and you're making a covenant with the heathen. No different than they was doing back in the ancient days during the Hellenistic period. Now, okay, Brother Nehemiah, why did you pull up Hellenism? We have to go understand that there is nothing new under the sun. The pagan, idolatrous, false gods that were in the ancient world being worshipped are still being worshipped today. Hellenistic refers to the historical era 323 to 30 BCE, following Alexander the Great's conquest, characterized by the spread of Greek culture, language, ideas, arts throughout the Middle East, Egypt, and Asia, blending with local traditions to create a new Greco-Eastern fusion, influencing philosophy, Stoicism, Epicureanism, and you see even our beloved brother Paul battling these things, right? Battling the Stoics and the Epicureans, right? In the book of Acts. Let me get that real quick. Let you know this is nothing new under the sun. In the book of Acts 17, you see, then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics encountered him. And some said, what will this babbler say? Others, some, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods. You see, they were so far in idolatry, they didn't understand the spirit and power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, when our beloved brother Paul was on the scene and the apostles was preaching the gospel. They thought it was strange, y'all. Hey, Jake and Eve this day thinks it's strange that we're keeping the ancient heritage that was given to us by our forefathers. They think it's weird. They think it's wicked. They call good evil and evil good. Hey, it's like what's his name? Eddie Murphy in Vampire in Brooklyn. He said, evil is good. I know y'all seen that. Evil is good. That's what they own these days, y'all. But these Stoics, these Epicureans, look, because he preached unto them Yahweh Shai in the resurrection. So nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun, sisters. So when we go into this Hellenistic period, this is a period of false doctrines, philosophy, science so thus called, right? Vain babblings, right? They thought that he was a vain babbler, but really, what did Timothy warn us up? 2 Timothy 2:16. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodly. See, what you got to realize is that philosophy goes into vain babbling. Stoicism, Epicureanism, these are philosophies of men, and their words will eat as doth a canker, of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetius, right? Philetius, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrew the faith of some. See, the so-called Christian church and the black Christian church has overthrown the faith and the belief in the one and true only God, because they're following the white man's ways of Christianity, which is really Roman Catholicism at the end of the day. And you see what the Pope does. I ain't gonna get too deep in it. I don't want him to flag the channel. You see how the Pope gets down. Popping Pope, you see what he does. Idolatry, wickedness, homosexuality, pedophilia. All of these things are a part of the culture when you celebrate Christmas, because it goes back to the Hellenistic period where you had the Greek revival. Think about this, y'all. 323 to 30 BCE, that's roughly 300 years. Roughly 300 years of the Greeks putting their philosophies, their wickedness, their customs, their cultures, and spreading it throughout the world. And then what happened after that? Greek was overthrown by Rome. So now you got the Romans coming on the scene. We're going to talk about it tonight, y'all. We're going to get into some history, some prophecy, right? All of these things. And we're going to talk about it, right? So bam, let's move on. So the point of the matter is this. We see, let me get John, I want St. John 10 and 22. Probably want me to put John 10 and 22. John 10 and 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. Now remember this, y'all. All feast days, biblical feast days, must be kept in their proper season. All right? Remember that. All feast days must be kept in their proper season. All right? If they're not kept in their proper season, guess what happens? You're not following the proper calendar. You can't keep Passover in the middle of the winter. All right? You can't do it. Passover has to be 14th day of the first month, which correlates in like our March, April of the Gregorian calendar. All right? In the month of Abib, the greening of the barley, right? The greening of the corn, the greening where things are alive. You can't keep Passover in the middle of the winter. So when it says, and it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. Now peep this. See, your pastor is going to tell you that you're supposed to keep Christmas because Christmas is sweet baby Jesus' birthday. Anybody who knows anything about Jerusalem and even that part of the world, it gets chilly around that time, cold around that time. All right. So when you look at it, the shepherds aren't going to be out grazing their flocks in the middle of the winter. So no, that was not sweet baby Jesus' birthday. Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ, fast forward during that winter season, He wasn't celebrating his birthday. Do you not think that if birthdays was a thing that we were supposed to celebrate in our ancient culture, in our modern day Hebrew and Hebraic, no, I'm not going to say Hebraic, right? I'm going to say Israelite culture. Because when we say Hebrew culture, you got to understand, right? There were many Hebrews. Esau is a Hebrew. He comes from Eber. Ishmaelites. You got to understand, all right, who are Hebrews and who are included in that lineage. So we won't just say Hebraic culture. We're going to say our Israelite culture, because it was Esau's culture to keep Christmas, to celebrate Saturnalia, which we're going to get into. I didn't forget, y'all. So John 10 and 22, and it was at Jerusalem, the feast of the dedication, and it was winter. And during this time, let's see what the next verse says. And Yahushua walked in the temple in Solomon's court. Why is this important? Remember, we should follow in Yahushua's footsteps, who did no sin, neither was there guile found in his mouth. So why would Yahushua be at the feast of the dedication, which, when we go into this, the feast of the dedication, renewal, right? And Kiana, all right? Enkaina. I think that's how you say it in the Greek, right? But let's see what it is. A dedication. What were they dedicating, right? They were dedicating the temple, consecrating it back. Matter of fact, I want to get this in the blue letter. Let me get this in the blue letter. Y'all. Let me get it in the blue letter. No, I don't want to donate. Remind me, like, look, they're not even letting me skip this. This is madness. All right, let me try to refresh, y'all. Bear with me. All right, bam. All right, blue letter. So look, we're gonna go to John 10 and 22. So bam, John 10 and 22 right here. And when we go to John 10 and 22, and let's get the feast of the dedication. Oh, it's lucky. I clicked the wrong thing. Feast of the dedication.
Strong's G 1456. Ekainia
in the Greek. Hanukkah in the Hebrew. Look, in particular, the annual feast celebrated 8 days beginning in the 25th of Chislev, which is the 9th month, middle of our December, instituted by Judas Maccabeus in 164 BC in memory of the cleansing of the temple from the pollution of Antiochus Epiphanes. Wicked Antiochus Epiphanes. Now, why is this important? Yahushua was keeping this feast of the dedication. But where was this feast ordained at? In the Apocrypha. You can read about the feast of the dedication, when it was ordained, the 4th chapter. You can also read it in First Maccabees, the 4th chapter, as well as Second Maccabees, the 10th chapter, right? So this is what Yahushua was doing. Why doesn't it say Yahushua was walking around with a damn Christmas stocking, celebrating Christmas? Because he wasn't doing that, y'all. So you got to choose. If you're going to follow the Bible, if you're going to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, are you going to celebrate Christmas? Or are you going to walk in the ways of Yahushua? And are you going to celebrate the feast of the dedication? Now peep this. Back to this Greek culture. A big part of Greek culture is Saturnalia. Saturnalia was a joyous, week-long ancient Roman winter festival honoring the god Saturn, mid-December 17th through the 23rd. Now remember, although this is saying Roman, is still considered Greek culture because the Hellenization of Greek influence was even strong in the Roman world. You follow me? So a lot of these pagan rituals that started and were prevalent in the Greek world, that's why they call it Greco-Roman world, because you had a crossover of Greek gods and Greek influence even in the Roman world, and a temporary suspension of Roman social norms, allowing slaves to be served by masters and gambling to be legal, creating a carnival-like atmosphere that influenced some, and look, they're saying some, most, we would go be strongest to say, most modern Christmas traditions. Now look, so make no mistake, when you celebrating Christmas, you are celebrating and you are worshiping the Roman god Saturn, honoring Saturn, dedicated to Saturn, the god of agriculture and the mythical golden age, a time of abundance and equality. Role reversal. Master serves slaves who could speak freely, subverting social hierarchy. Carnival atmosphere. Look, gifts and symbols. Common gifts, sigillaria, wax or clay figurines with people wearing festive hats. Pilier, king of Saturnalia, a mock king, was sometimes elected to preside over the revelry, giving silly orders. So when they say it's the king's birthday, you don't realize that they're taking things from Saturnalia and they mashing it up with Christianity, Constantine, 325 AD, right? And they're putting these antichrist practices of wickedness and idolatry, and you willingly partake in them. Our people willingly partake in them, right? Moving on. I want to get this real quick. I want to get this Jeremiah 10. That's what I'm thinking about. Listen to this. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans of indigenous descent, especially you Caribbean, right? On this Western Hemisphere, you're the children of Israel. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, the other nations, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. You know, the other nations, they get into astrology, astronomy, right? They get into, on the left-hand side, right? And I say on the left-hand side because we understand there are certain celestial bodies. We don't get into worshiping them. We don't get into thinking that they have some type of divine power to determine what happens on the earth or in the cosmos, planetary energies, and all of these horoscopes, and Saturn is going, Mercury is going retrograde, and you don't get into all of that. Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. It's vanity. What makes it vanity? It's like grasping after the wind. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. Christmas. The work of the hand of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. Deck the halls with bells of folly. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it moves not. This is going into they go out, and this is in the spirit of Nimrod. which we're going to bring another lesson out on that. But mark that it's the spirit of Nimrod. They bring in a Christmas tree, a palm or a fir tree into their home. They cut it down, and through the spirit of wickedness, even if you go to Walmart, damn Kroger's, Sam's Club, Lowe's, even if you're doing is getting an artificial tree, you're still moving in the spirit of wickedness because you're mimicking these things, right? You bring it in your house, you fasten it with a nail, put it in a stand, the damn tree 20 feet high, and you deck it with silver and gold. Yahweh Shai wasn't doing this, y'all. Yahweh Shai wasn't doing this at all. Yahweh Shai was keeping a feast of the dedication. That's what he was doing, all right? Now, I want to get this Daniel 7 and 6 to show y'all a couple of things. So in the book of Daniel 7 and 6, it says, after this, I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible. So this 4th beast is going into the Greek captivity. You had the Egyptians, you had the Babylonians, you had the Medo-Persians, like you, and then they were conquered by the Greeks. So this is a prophecy in Daniel the 7th chapter going into how the Greeks would come into power, right? And then 4 heads, which we're going to get into. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. So you have the Greek captivity going into the Roman captivity. But this 4th beast, right, goes into, I'm going to get this, First Maccabees 1 and 1 is what I want. So you have the Greek captivity. Alexander the Greek. So when you go into the history of, kingdoms, see, kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall. No kingdom lasts forever except for this kingdom that Hamashiach Womalak Yahushua is going to rule, is going to be the king over, right? By Shem Yahushua. All of these other kingdoms rise and fall. Just how you had, what was it called? The Persians. You had the Medo-Persians. You had the Achaemenid Empire or Achaemenid Kingdom. Darius, Cyrus, Bardiya, Xerxes. You had these certain kings that ruled in the Achaemenid Empire. All right, that goes into the Persian, the Medo-Persian. The Greeks came and they kicked their ass. They conquered them. Salakia for the language. That happened by way of Alexander the Greek. Now, in mainstream history, they call him Alexander the Great. We don't call this damn Edomite the Great. Alexander the Great, the Greek freak who died for getting popped by one of his generals, not an alien. That was the end of his chapter. After he died, though, let's see what happened. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, which this is also proves that Esau is a so-called white man, because when you go through the editions of Esther, when you go into Esther, when you go to Genesis, right, you can line it up and see from Esau to Hamadetha, the Agagite, from Agag, Amalek, to Agag, the Agagite, to the Macedonian, who's right here, Alexander the Greek, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So not only did he conquer the Medo-Persian kingdom, he also was the first to reign over all of Greece. And this is where we come into Hellenization. Hellene, right? The Hellenists. The furthering of Greek culture and spreading it all over the world, the known world at that time. All right. It made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. What does that mean? The earth was, all of the kingdoms, they feared Alexander the Greek, because, hey, the Most High allowed him to have strong military power, conquering, subduing, subjecting, raping, robbing, pillaging, spreading his Greek influence and culture, and Hellenizing the known world. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. He was prideful, and the Most High cut him down. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Here's the point, going back to Daniel 7. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. This is goes into the leopard, the beast that had the 4 heads. You had in 303 BCE, you had something called the Diadochi, all right? Diadochi, which basically means successors or divided. Why is this important? And what the hell does this have to do with Christmas, right? The Diadochi, let's get this really quick. How you spell that? Let me get Diadochi. Diadochi, I believe this is how you spell it. Bam, right here. Diadochi. The Diadochi were the rival generals, families, and friends of Alexander the Greek, who fought for control over his empire after his death in 323 BC. The wars of the Diadochi marked the beginning of the Hellenistic period, from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River Valley. Look, notably, Ptolemy, Antigonus, Cassander, and Seleucid. Now, this Seleucid, also you got Lysimachus as well, but I believe he came from the line of the Seleucid Empire. So these are the 4 primary generals, all right, that stemmed from Alexander's reign. When he died, before he died, he put them into power. And they began to fight over territory and so forth and so on. Fight over power, right? So that's the Diadochi. Now, why this is extremely relevant, family, is because this Hellenistic culture is what influenced a lot of wickedness. Matter of fact, let's get this. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Now watch this. And his servants bear rule, everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So because of the wickedness of these Greeks and the Greek influence and their long line of what am I saying? Their long line of rulership, for lack of a better word, right? Them passing the crown down and down and down through generations. You eventually had Antiochus Epiphanes, a wicked Ruth, a wicked Edomite, a Greek, who came to power, who wanted to make everybody one nation. Everybody in his kingdom, he wanted to make one nation, right here. And there came out of them a wicked Ruth, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, Jake, Eve, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So they wanted to make a league with the heathen, to join the ways of the heathen, keeping Saturnalia, keeping pagan feasts and festivals, eating swine's flesh, making himself abominable, sacrificing, and doing all of the wicked things, right? The things that are unseemly, unthinkable, unfathomable for an Israelite to be conducting in these type of things, right? Now, when you think about what's going on in modern day time, we still have our people trying to making a covenant with the heathen. Every time you say, I'm going to keep Christmas, you're making a covenant with the heathen. Every Christmas gift, every decoration, every Christmas card, every damn ugly Christmas sweater. Hey, in the world, I was so folly. All praise to the Most High, He delivered me from this. But I actually went to an ugly Christmas sweater party. All of those things are giving your mind, your body, your spirit over and making a covenant with the heathen, because you're directly saying, hey, Lord, you said don't do it, but the hell with what you say, Yahweh. I'm going to do it anyway. That's what you're saying. Moving on. Let's get Daniel 7:17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Now, we just saw what those four kings were. You had Cassander, Ptolemy, right? Antigonus and Seleucus. So you had those four Greek kings that were prophesied in Daniel. See, what you got to realize is that in the so-called Old Testament, you have the Babylonian captivity, you have the Babylonian captivity, you have the the Egyptian, the Babylonian, the Assyrian, the Medo-Persian, and then you have in the so-called New Testament, you have the Roman captivity. But in the Apocrypha is where you find the events of the Greek captivity that was prophesied in the book of Daniel, right? So if you don't rock with the Apocrypha, which is canon, which was in the original, the Geneva Bible, right? The original King James, the Bishop's Bible, all of these Bibles that predated your modern day version of the KJV. It's canon, baby. It's canon, King. It's canon, man. It's canon, sister. So back to the point. When you think about Alexander and starting his reign, before this, you had Darius. You had Darius the Great, that they call it. You had Cyrus. Let me get this real quick. Just a little bit of history real quick. Let's get the I always hear this, Achaemenid Empire. So the Achaemenid, just a little bit of history, just so you know. The Achaemenid Empire, look, the kingdom was an ancient Iranian empire, right around like modern day Turkey and things of that nature, of Cyrus the Great of the Achaemenid Empire in 550 BC. At its peak, its territorial extended was roughly 5.5 million square kilometers, making it the largest empire of its time. Based in the Iranian plateau, it stretched from the Balkans and Egypt into the modern-day Pakistan, including Anatolia, Cyprus, Mesopotamia, the Levant, and parts of Eastern Arabia, and the largest parts of Central Asia. So you had the Babylonian Empire, you had the Neo-Babylonian Empire, right? Who Cyrus conquered. So after Babylon, you had the Persians. So Cyrus defeated Media, which is that's why I said the Medo-Persians, because you have Media, which is or Media, which was an ancient civilization, right? You had Lydia, you had the Neo-Babylonian Empire. But look, while its conquests were largely successful in most regions, the Achaemenid Empire's attempts to expand into Greece proved extremely difficult over the course of decades of war and multiple kings, ultimately resulting in the defeat in the Greek mainland. So the Achaemenid Empire fell in 336 BC against Alexander the Greek, right? Alexander, so-called Great. So from there, this is very important to understand this because it's giving you key historical context of why the Greek influence was so big. Even why the Greek influence was so big over the Levant area, which was, which we dwelt in as far as the Israelites, and why the Greek influence didn't want us to be Israelites. They didn't want us to keep our laws, statutes, and commandments. They didn't want us to keep our customs and things of that nature as well, right? I'm gonna get this real quick in terms of Daniel 11:3 as well. Get this real quick, y'all. All praise to the Most High. And it's important for us to go into this history so you can understand really what's going on. The book of Daniel, chapter 11:3, right? I'm gonna start with 1. Also, I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, remember the Medo Empire, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen it. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. Going into Xerxes the first, I believe. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will, right? So this is going directly into Alexander the Greek conquering Darius the Mede, Xerxes, and all of their line, right? Cyrus, Ardiah, all of these Medo-Persian kings, and establishing the Greek revival, not the Greek revival, the Greek influence. Now, let's get First Maccabees. And what's the name is tripping lately. Sometimes it doesn't go. I gotta put it here. I'm gonna get straight to the point for the sake of time. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 4 and verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen, Salakia, one second, grab something really quick. 1 second, really quick. Find this quick precept. Right here. Bam. Okay, bam. Look at what time and what day. Actually, I got to start up earlier. It's lucky, y'all. This whole chapter is mighty. First Maccabees 4:1. Then took Georgius 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night. So there was a war going on, y'all. We had Alexander the Greek conquered, right? Darius the Persian, the Medes, expressed and spread his Greek culture all over the territory, even in terms of Israel. So you had certain wicked men, right, that wanted to make a league with the heathens, as we read, and wanted to keep the Greek culture and not keep the feast day. And you had certain valiant men, such as Judas Maccabeus and his family and his brothers, right, who said to hell with the Greek culture, right? We're gonna got to get these heathen out of our land. And there was a lot of military battles, right, that make up this war. You can go, I'm not gonna read the whole chapter, right? You can kind of go on your own and see things of this nature. But peep game. I'm gonna jump down to verse, get to the point. Let me go down to verse number, I'm gonna start about 41, matter of fact. Bam. Actually, I'm gonna read up a bit. Verse 35. Now when Lysias saw his army put to flight, because we was giving him the business by Shem Yahushai, and the manliness of Judas' soldiers, and how they were ready to either to live or to die valiantly for the covenant of the Most High God, he went into Antiochia and gathered together a company of strangers, more heathen, and having made his army greater than it was, he purposed to come again into Judea, our land. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and the shrubs growing in the courts, as in a forest or in one of the mountains, yea, the priest's chambers pulled down. So our people went, and they saw how the heathen had ransacked our temple, the sanctuary. Having sex and fornication and harlots, and sacrificing swine's flesh, and setting up the abomination of desolation, and all type of things to profane the altar. They rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their head. Can you imagine that? Coming into the Most High's holy temple and seeing the heathen with pig blood everywhere. Hey, shrubs growing up, like I know brothers and like it was like it was a bando. And they had a temple looking like it was a bando. All right. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So you got to have a mind like Judas. Decently in order. Hey, some men got to go and fight, and we're going to stay here and we're going to cleanse the sanctuary. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bared out the defiled stones, and unclean things. And when, as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down. I'm going to skip down, right? I'm going to read through. Then they took whole stones according to the law, Deuteronomy 27:5, right? And built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary, the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the court. So they restored, they built a new altar, they hallowed the courts, they're cleaning out the profanation of the heathen. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, the altar, and the burnt offerings, and the incense, and the table. This candlestick right there, that goes into the menorah. They brought the menorah, y'all. 7 candle menorah. Not a 9, not a 13. In order to keep the feast of the dedication, you must have a menorah. Order you one off Amazon. 7 candle menorah. And you can light a candle every day, or you can light all the candles every day. That's up to your discretion, right? And we're gonna go, I'm a Lord willing to the Spirit, do another live, probably on Wednesday, Most High willing, and go more in depth on the feast of the dedication, right? And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlesticks they lighted, that they may give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Right? Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, which when we went into that St. John 10 and 22, when we went into the Strongs, we saw for the word dedication or feast of dedication was referring to this celebration on the month. It said Kislev, right? When we were in this right here, see it says Kislev, right? Which is Greek for Caslu. Now remember, this is what Yahushua was teaching, the feast of the dedication, right? Corresponding to December. He wasn't keeping Christmas. Look, instituted by Judas Maccabeus in 164 BC. So now we're reading about that, y'all. We're reading about that right here. Now, on the 5 and 20th day, the 25th day of the 9th month, Kislev, which is called the month Caslu, right? This Caslu is one in Greek, right? In the 100 or Slaki, I think this Caslu. Now this is more in the Hebrew, I believe. That Kislev is more in the Greek. Slaki. In the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that, it was dedicated with songs and citherns and harps and cymbals. Now, why this is important is 3 years before this time, right? The heathen had come in and they had profaned in the altar. So the Most High God has a human, right? The Most High God has a human. Because during this time, once again, they had set up the abomination of desolation and they were profaning the Sabbath. I mean, they were profaning and setting up altars and eating swine's flesh. All right. So now, and this is in First Maccabees. I'm gonna go chapter 1. I'm not gonna pull up on the screen. I'm gonna read it. In verse 59. Now the 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. So notice in the book of First Maccabees, in the first chapter on the 59th verse, now the 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar. So when you hear right here in First Maccabees chapter 4, when it says, now look at what time and what day the heathen have profaned it. Remember, they profaned it on the 5 and 20th day, the 5 and 20th day of the 9th month. The same 5 and 20th day of the 9th month, 3 years later, the Most High God had allowed us to take the sanctuary back and to cleanse it. And this is where we get Hanukkah from, right? Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. Now look, they decorated. You can decorate, not in the spirit of Christmas, but in the spirit of Hanukkah. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields. And the gates and the chambers they renewed. They rebuilt them and restored them and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 5 and 20th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. So this is what we should be keeping, family. We should be keeping Hanukkah, which is the feast of the dedication. We should not be keeping Christmas. Yahushua, who the world even calls Christ, kept it. So you should keep it. So with that, we're going to give all glory, praises, and honor to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach, woman like Yahushai. Most High willing, this has been edifying for the nation, for the 12 sheep, for the 12 tribes, Salakia, that are scattered abroad. Greetings. One minute, Shalom.